to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Allie.
And I'm Sarah.
And I'm actually quite pumped because we're back to domestic football. Ladies and gentlemen, and all of us in between.
Well, technically the WSL didn't kick back off, but yeah, we are.
Well, we are, but not just that. We've got so much to talk about. You know, so much did happen over the last few days, both on and off the pitch, that we're going to just all bring to you and lay it all down for you.
Let's do it. Before we get into everything, two small pieces of news. I would say one positive and one I'm not sure what to call it. First, it was announced that the Olympic women's soccer tournament will be expanded to 16 teams. It used to be 12. It used to be 3 groups of 4. So we're just adding an entire other group, which is, I think, great because remember, Allie, the structure is 3 groups and then you get 2 out of 3 third place teams advancing. And that's how you get your next round. And instead, it's just going to be 4 groups of 4 teams and the top 2 teams advance from every group. I think this is a great adjustment.
Yeah, it's interesting because it seems like in the men's game, they're trying to reduce the amount of people that go to the Olympics. Whereas the women's game, it does feel like it's considered a very female tournament.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's so different. I mean, the men's are U23 and the women's is like a completely professional tournament. Yeah, I did see that overall there will be more female athletes at the Olympics in 28 than male athletes, which is interesting.
That is interesting. So yeah, maybe time to get excited for the Olympics.
Maybe. Who knows? A lot can happen before 2028. All right. Other piece of news. If you all will remember, there was an incident with Montpellier that happened, I feel like months ago, Allie.
It has been a long time ago.
It's been a long time. There was an incident with Daniela Caracas of Espanyol when Barcelona Espanyol were playing back in February, actually, specifically is when it was. Officially, Mape Leon has been handed a 2-match suspension for her actions. Apparently, the club appealed, but the ban was not lifted. So there we have it. 2-match suspension. And I will note, this was the action that we all saw the video of where Mape Leon seemed to, apparently in the video, inappropriately touch Daniela Caracas in the crotch area. And then there were rumors floating around about what Mape Leon said during that. Those were false rumors. So as bad as we thought it was, which was we thought that the rumors about what she was saying to Daniela were true because it was reported by many credible sources. Those were not true. So that doesn't make her literal physical actions better, but it certainly does make the entire picture a lot better. So with that being said, 2-match suspension. Allie? Thoughts?
I feel like I'm the Jose Mourinho gif of if I speak, I get into trouble.
I think that the U.S. version of that is Marshawn Lynch going to press conferences and answering every question with, I'm just here so I don't get fined. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Yep. Not answering anything, just being like, I am here so I don't get fined. That's fine. That can be your answer. We accept that.
No, the thing is, I think that if she had kicked out at the player, she would have got a 3-match ban. If she'd got a red card, she would have got a 3-match ban. The fact that it's a 2-game suspension, I think, is a joke. Because regardless of what the rumours and speculation about what she said and what she didn't say, it was an act of aggression. It was an aggressive act. Every other aggressive act gets at least 3 games. So the fact it was 2 games is a joke.
I think that's a very fair and reasonable way to lay that out. Where you're saying typically an act of aggression is a 3-game ban. It should have been a 3-game ban. Period.
Yeah.
The end. Yeah.
Yeah. Period. The end. It was an act of aggression. The thing is, there are folks out there, and I believe even Mape Leon herself, who believes she did nothing wrong. That is why she and the club appealed it, and it didn't work because clearly the federation were laying down a marker to say, no, you did do something wrong, and we are going to punish you for it. I think it should have been slightly harsher, but I'm glad that they didn't just sweep it under the rug. I will say that. I will give them credit, because we don't very, very rarely give the Spanish Federation credit. I will give them credit that they did take this somewhat seriously, and she is still being punished. And that is the end of that.
All right. Well, those were our 2 quick little news points. Now you know what? Let's say what we have this episode. We haven't done that yet.
No. Let's see what is on the docket. We are going to talk to you about the NWSL that kicked back off this week. And there have been some good games, some less good games. And we ask the all-important question, has the NWSL got predictable? We will have thoughts on that. We then, as ever, will take you around the world, and then we are, of course, going to talk about the Champions League games that are happening this weekend, as well as FA Cup, that action that happened last weekend. Who made it into the final? Is the domestic quadruple still... Oh, the quadruple, not the domestic quadruple, still on for Chelsea? We shall see. But
the domestic treble is still on.
The domestic treble could still be on, yes.
All right, let's do it.
NWSL action. As said, it was back this weekend. And we'll get onto the question about whether or not we think it's been predictable, because when we were looking at the games, we were going, could have seen that coming. Could have seen that coming.
Yeah.
Could have seen that coming. The big shocker game, which is the one we're going to talk about, was Bay FC versus the Chicago, formerly Red Stars.
Chicago Stars.
Yeah, they are the Chicago.
I love that it trips everybody up so much to the point that even the commentators on the game were literally saying, in the open, they were like, please forgive us if we say Red Stars. It just rolls off the tongue still.
Well, it's because they're known as the Stars. Like, if they'd named themselves something else, then it would be fine. But
right, that's true.
But so this game was shocking because we've talked about Chicago's very poor form. We didn't think that they were going to do much this season. Bay have sort of been on the up and up, but spoiler alert, Chicago beat Bay 2-1, I believe was the score.
Chicago got their first win of the 2025 season. They're 1 win and 3 losses. Bay FC now 1 win, 1 draw, 2 losses. I do want to just go back though and say, like, I wouldn't, this will come on to the predictable question, but you said we looked at the score and we're like, there's still some, like, Gotham FC beating North Carolina 3-1. I didn't see that coming because we both were like, what's going on with North Carolina? Seattle only losing 1-0 to Orlando. I saw them losing, but I didn't see them losing just by 1 goal. Like, Angel City taking down Houston 3-1. Oh, that's something for me too. I do feel like it is more predictable, but it's still not, like, entirely predictable. And we can expand on that later. Like, I get why you're saying that. It doesn't feel like there was an upset. And I feel like in other years, almost every weekend we had, like, an upset. Arguably, though, this Chicago game is an upset.
Yeah, we will get onto it. But let's talk about this game. So, let's talk about the goal. And you know the goal I am talking about.
The Ludmila goal, the first one?
Yes.
Because Ludmila scored twice in this game, both of them in the first half, and those were the 2 goals for Chicago. A fun fact here, those 2 goals were the second and third goals, respectively, that Chicago has scored in this entire 2025 campaign. That means that coming into that game against Bay FC, they had scored 1 goal this season. Total. That says a lot right there. But that Ludmila goal was impeccable. It was a perfect run. It may be impeccable is like a stretch, but it was a nice goal. It was a beautiful run. It was a beautiful ball. It was a great finish. And the best part about it was she pulled off the Sam Kerr handspring backflip as a celly. And I'm not objectifying, but man, she has a 6-pack. That was impressive. Wow. Anyways, it was equally as good for Chicago, that goal, as it was bad for Bay FC. Huge story for Bay FC's defense is that they were picked apart by, right now, the worst offense statistically in the NWSL, and Bay FC was literally picked apart. Abby Dahlkemper had probably one of the toughest games I've ever seen in her career. She was beat in every which way possible. She was beat with a long ball. She was beat with a short pass. She was beat on the dribble. She was beat always, and she never had cover behind her either. It was a disastrous showing for the Bay FC backline, to say the least.
Yeah, and unfortunately for me, it seems like Bay haven't really got the firepower scoring-wise. So, like, if you're getting battered defensively, but you're not offering anything up front, this is going to be a long season.
I would actually argue that they do have the firepower. Like, there's 2 storylines in this game, and it's to talk about Bay FC, what's gone well and what hasn't, and it's also to talk about Chicago, because both of these teams, for very different reasons, are, like, interesting case studies. Bay FC, when you look at who they have on that roster, absolutely should almost easily get a playoff spot. And they added firepower to the roster. And rightfully so, the rookies and Taylor Huff and Carly Lima are kind of like big national stories now. For the record, I've been saying this for literal months that Bay FC did so well with their rookies, and they did. Anyways, what I'm saying is that Bay FC, they do have firepower. They do have goal scorers, but it doesn't matter how good your attackers are if you can't get the ball to them in good areas. You know, they're not magicians. They can't pull it out of their, well, you know what, all the time. Like, there's a better way to say that, but I have no better way. You have to give them something to work with. But all Bay FC can do is pass the ball around the back a million times. There's no good runs to speak of in the midfield. They can't get the ball into that midfield line. So what do? They skip a line. So it's just around the back. Long ball from Abby Dahlkemper. Here's a ball over the top. See what you can do with it, Carly Lima. Here's a ball over the top. See what you can do with it, Taylor Huff or Rachel Kundananji. I think that I could probably count the number of times I saw Ashwala on the ball, like on one hand. You know, they've got the firepower, but they actually don't have the central midfield to support it. And that's where they're breaking down. They're having to skip that midfield line because they just simply can't control the ball in the middle of the field. And because of that, you know, their attackers are suffering for it. If you look at the statistics of this game, like, it really does tell the story. Bay FC had 68% of possession, but they had 3 shots on target. That tells you everything. Yeah, you can have possession all you want, but if it's in your own defensive half, it doesn't matter.
I would like to see the heat map of what they did in Chicago's half, because I don't think it was very much. Do we think then this is a rise for Chicago? Is this something they can now kick on from?
I mean, it's definitely momentum. Like, it was getting scary for a second, where it was like, oh my God, is this going to be a really brutal season? To be fair to them, they're right that they have grown from game to game. It's still going to be a rough season for Chicago. Is this like a little light and a little levity? Yes. How many more times that's going to come in the year? I'm not entirely sure. For Chicago, I see this entirely as a front office problem. I don't blame Lauren Donaldson, who's the head coach, who, if you recognize that name, it's because he spent some time as the Jamaica head coach and he did a great job with that squad. Then he took this Chicago job after the 2023 World Cup. I think he's done a great job with what he's been given, but the front office is not really putting the personnel together. They relied heavily on Mal Swanson, and she's gone now, and that's it. And now they're screwed. So I see it as a front office issue for Chicago. But at the very least, at least it'll show them where the glaring holes are, and hopefully the front office can fix that moving forward.
Do we tackle the question? Has the NWSL got predictable?
Has the NWSL gotten predictable, full stop? No. Has it gotten more predictable? Yes. And I know that sounds like a cop-out answer, but it's
that is a cop-out answer.
It's really not. Like, it's more predictable than it has been in the past, but I still wouldn't call it, like, it's not as predictable as the WSL. The difference is we're not seeing big shifts.
I disagree.
Really?
I disagree. I genuinely disagree. I think it's now become... You always used to brag and say that the NWSL was any team can beat any team on any given day, and I don't believe that's true anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you. That's not true. That's not true anymore. That's what I am saying. Like, it has gotten more predictable, but I wouldn't call it predictable just because I think there's still a bigger middle chunk than there is in the WSL. Like, you know that Orlando and Kansas City are going to dominate. Washington probably is going to be up there. And then you're going to have, like, probably Chicago and Utah at the bottom right now. And everything else seems to be, like, fairly up for grabs.
I disagree. I reckon I could probably... And I'll put my money where my mouth is, not in this episode, because it would take too long. But I tell you what, I will make a graphic for Sarah to post on our socials of what I think the end table will be by the end of the season.
Can we do two things?
Go on then, let's do two things.
Can we do that? Because I love that idea. But can we also do it for next weekend? Like, can we have you look at all of the matchups for next weekend? And I want you to write down who is going to win each game.
Yeah, I won't do scores because
do you want to do it right now, or do you want to do some research while you go through them?
I will do some research and I will go through them, but we will have a graphic for you by the time this episode is released on Wednesday.
I love it.
And then by the end of the week, I will have a graphic of what I think the table will look like.
This is so fun.
By the end of the season. And I'm not on about playoffs. Playoffs can wait.
Yeah. No. Just do regular season. I agree. No score lines. Just tell me who's going to win each game next weekend. Yeah.
And I will do that. And we will see how right I am. I will put my money where my big fat mouth is.
I'm very excited for this. At what point do we call it predictable? If you get... So there's 7 games. If I get 5 out of the 7... If you get 5 or more, it's predictable.
It's predictable.
I agree. I'll take that. Deal. Let's shake hands virtually.
we are virtually shaking hands on that. And I will get that done.
This is so fun. I'm very excited. I'm very excited for this. Let's talk Champions League. It is the Champions League semifinals. Leg 1 is happening this weekend. I'm so excited, Allie. I mean, this is good stuff. This is just good stuff. All right, Saturday, Arsenal will host Lyon at the Emirates, and Sunday, Barcelona host Chelsea at the Johan Cruyff Stadium, the small 6,000 person one that we chatted about on the last episode that Allie was at. All right, our predictions a couple weeks ago, Allie. I think I have these right. You said that Lyon and Barcelona would both advance. I said that Chelsea, it felt like their year, they would advance, and then begrudgingly, I picked Lyon. Honestly, after all of the injuries that Arsenal suffered during the international break, I feel pretty good about my selection.
Me too, but for the other one, because of Chelsea, because they are missing a very key firepower piece in good old LJ, Lauren James, and I think that is huge.
It is, but also Chelsea hosts the second leg, so LJ could be back for that. We'll see. Let's quickly just preview what we expect from both of these games, because we've done our predictions. Let's talk about what type of games are these going to be? What do we expect from them? So let's start with the Saturday game. Arsenal are hosting Lyon at the Emirates.
I think this is going to be a really cagey game. I think this is going to be really cagey because Lyon are going to want to have something going into their home game, because as we've talked about so many times, it's better to have the home game second leg. So they're going to be really defensive, I think, and really cagey. They're going to want to maybe score a goal or keep it at 0-0 going into that home leg. Arsenal don't want another Real situation where they're going into the second leg 2 goals down, because they don't have that home advantage second leg. This is the thing. So I think they're going to come in all guns blazing, but then it's coming up against that Lyon defence. So I think it's just going to be a really cagey, bitty game.
I agree. I think it's going to be pretty cagey. I actually could see both of them playing a little bit more defensive, because Arsenal don't want to leave themselves open to a counterattack either. Like, Arsenal have the tougher job right now, like you said, because they're home in the first leg, where you want to come out to a strong start, you want to get your goals, but you also don't want to leave yourself open, because the last thing you want is to then go to Lyon, either drawn or down, having to go away in the second leg. That's terrible. So, I mean, a draw is better than a loss, so it really is just how aggressive are Arsenal going to be here with Lyon? And that's the big question mark. I don't think that they're going to come out and take it to Lyon. I think they're going to come out a little timid, a little shy, suss it out, and it's going to be a battle. And I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I think if anybody scores, it's going to be a 1-0, to be honest.
Yeah, it might be 1, maybe 2-1 or something like that, but I don't see Arsenal going into Lyon with like a huge lead. Like, I don't see them going into Lyon with more than a 2-goal lead at all.
No.
All right, let's do Sunday. Barcelona hosting Chelsea.
Ooh. I see this being the absolute opposite. I think this is going to be a goal fest.
That could be really fun.
I think this is going to be an absolute goal fest. I don't want to... I have pegged that Barcelona will go through over Chelsea, but I do think this is going to be... Both teams are going to go for it. Barcelona, because they have got obviously the away leg at Stamford Bridge, so they are going to want to have as many goals in the bank as possible before they do that. Chelsea have beaten Barcelona on their turf. They did that last time when unfortunately it got turned around on their home leg. But again, they know what Barcelona can do. They know what Barcelona are willing to do. So I think this is going to be an absolute goal fest, because the complete opposite. No caginess, no nothing. Teams completely open and just go for it.
I kind of agree. This is going to be a fun game because anytime these two teams play, it's just a chess match for the ages, right? You can see that these teams are just slowly, methodically trying to break each other down. And at least when Emma Hayes was at the helm, Chelsea would go in with a game plan, and you could see that they were executing that game plan to a T. I think Chelsea are going to be very physical with Barcelona, predominantly because that's the best way to disrupt the rhythm of Barcelona.
Yeah, and they don't like it. As we learned from last time, Barcelona do not like it when teams get physical with them.
I think sadly because of that, it's going to be like a heavily refereed game, like you said, because Barcelona will complain to the referees. They don't like it. They might talk some, you know what about it after the game, as we've seen them do in the past, which is no shade to Barcelona. That's who you are. Embrace it. Love it. You know what, though? I again see this being a tight game. I could see it being a draw. I could see Barcelona going in to Chelsea's home leg with like a 1-goal advantage. But I again don't see this, like, I don't see Barcelona going back to England for leg 2 with more than a 2-goal advantage. I just see both of these being very, very tight games.
Interesting. You
think Barcelona's really just going to like put away as many as possible and Chelsea are going to have to play keep up?
A little bit.
Well, this is, you picked Barcelona to advance, and I think Chelsea's going to advance. So this makes sense that we both think different things on this one.
Yeah. No, I just think Barcelona are going to go and just like smash as many goals as they physically can.
Yeah, but Chelsea can do the same.
They can. They can.
You're giving a lot of credit to, I think, what will be a big home field advantage, which is fair.
Yeah, I am, because make it a fortress, make it hard for the opposing team.
Is there one of these games you're most excited for more than the other?
Chelsea, Barcelona.
Yeah, you know what?
No offense to Arsenal, Leon.
Same. I hate to say it.
I think it's going to be a really boring game. I think it's going to be really cagey,
I don't think it's
really
going to be
defensive.
boring. It just like...
It's not going to be free-flowing football. I love free-flowing football, which both Chelsea and Barcelona play, whereas I think Arsenal and Lyon are the closer of the two matched. So they're going to play it a bit more.
Everybody's going to be really highly strung in the Arsenal-Lyon game, like super high-strung game.
Exactly. Exactly. Whereas it's going to be a bit more free-flow.
I'm most pumped for the Barcelona-Chelsea game just because, like I said, like I can't think of a matchup in women's football that is more, at least in club football, that is more of a chess match than when it is when these two teams play each other. Let's go around the world. Around the world, around the world. To France. PSG edged closer to Lyon after their 6-0 win this weekend. League leaders Lyon could only manage a 2-2 draw against Paris FC. However, the title is still very much in their hands.
To Germany, and Bayern Munich beat title rivals Eintracht Frankfurt 3-0 to keep the title race in their favour. Despite only drawing with Freiburg, Wolfsburg have now climbed to second.
And to Spain, Barcelona beat Atletico Madrid 6-0 to keep their top spot. Real Madrid are keeping up the pressure with their win over Eibar. Could they take them to the final day?
And finally to Scotland, Glasgow City go top after their win against Motherwell. Second-placed Hibs were beaten by fellow Edinburgh team Hearts. However, fellow title race contenders Rangers could only manage a 1-1 draw against Celtic.
Let's talk FA Cup. We haven't gotten to talk a lot of FA Cup so far, Allie. I don't know why. We didn't really chat. We usually chat semis, but we didn't chat semis this time.
We didn't, because it sort of fell with teams that were in Champions League, and then there was so much that has been going on that you sort of forget. But the FA Cup is held in such high esteem in the UK.
And it's so fun.
It's a fun one. This is one where like anybody can beat anybody. You can get some shocks, and so we're excited. And the semis happened this weekend, just gone. So we have our finalists. Spoiler alert: it is Chelsea versus Man United in the final. But let's talk about how they both got there.
Yeah, so this is interesting because speaking of anybody can beat anybody, Liverpool upset Arsenal in the quarters to make it to the semis.
They did.
And then Chelsea and Liverpool faced off, and then City and United faced off. Chelsea won 2-1 over Liverpool, but it is not as simple as it sounds. And then United beat City 2-0. City are down and out. Down and out for the ages, like a drop off truly that could be studied right now. In the past couple of weeks, City have just absolutely plummeted. But let's start with the Chelsea-Liverpool matchup, because I think people would look at the scoreline and be like, yeah, Chelsea won, they took care of business. That's as expected. Let's move along. 'Twas not that simple, Allie, was it?
It was not. First off, Liverpool went ahead first with a phenomenal strike by Olivia Smith. This young Canadian has taken the WSL and ran with it. And I'm going to be honest, Liverpool, you are going to be so lucky if you keep her next season.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling an Arsenal, a Man City, maybe even a Man United are going to swoop, because she is such a phenomenal talent and she beat so many Chelsea defenders and scored an absolute worldie to give Liverpool the lead halfway through that first half. And Liverpool, you felt, could nick it because they were keeping Chelsea at bay. They were very compact, very tight. They were breaking to try and get that second goal, but they were there. They were like, this is our chance to win silverware. This is our only chance to win silverware because we're middle of the table. We could go on and do this. And then Chelsea did do Chelsea things, and Erin Cuthbert scored an absolute crossbar rattler to level it just at halftime. And as we've said so many times, conceding right before halftime or scoring right before halftime can change momentum drastically.
Yeah, but it didn't. I mean, it almost didn't. This game almost went to overtime. Chelsea scored the winner in the 94th minute.
Yes, it was an Aggie Beever-Jones special, an absolute clutch goal. I think I do have to say, I know I get accused of being a Chelsea hater, but it did make me smile in the fact that Aggie Beever-Jones is a Chelsea fan. She's been with them since she was 8 years old. And to be the one to score the goal that sends them into the FA Cup final, that's something special.
Yeah.
That is something special. And that did even make my cold, dead heart joyful a bit. But it seems to be a Chelsea special this season, because they have scored 6 game-winning goals in the dying moments of extra time this season through all competitions. Is that not insane?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that'll tell you a lot about a team. Never say die. And of course, that explains a lot of... Chelsea are undefeated still in the WSL, and you don't get that way without some things like this happening, with some dying moments of extra time goals. But 6 is a lot. It's
a lot. It's crazy. But yeah, I will say it was a very interesting game. If you haven't watched it, even if you know the score, go back and watch it, because it's interesting. You can see a little bit of Chelsea tiring, but then they've still got that firepower that they can keep going even without injuries, without playing 1,000,001 games. They're still in it, and they're still there, and they're going to yet another title.
All right, let's talk about the second game, because while the first one was a tight nail-biter, super fun, the City United game was anything but. United took it 2-0, and I think the only question to ask is, what's up with City?
What is going on with City? City looked tired from the jump. You watch this game, you can tell they've played 1,000,001 games. You can tell they've had players on international duty. They've lost another player in Vivian Miedemar who went down in international duty.
I was so sad when I saw that.
And is probably out for the rest of the season. They lost a player in the middle of this game because Mary Fowler went down and was clutching her knee, which we never want to see. Now, she did get up and walk it off, so we're hoping it's not as bad, but it could still be some form of the dreaded 3 letters, because it was an off contact, off the ball moment. It wasn't like she was tackled or anything like that. But they didn't look up for it, whereas you can tell that Man United were like, this is our chance at silverware. We're not going to catch Chelsea in the league, so let's make it count. And they went up within 6 minutes with a gorgeous goal by Bizet. Bizet has been a steal from them. They got her for 60,000 from Tottenham, and she has paid her way tenfold. Like, and then last season's star girl for Tottenham, Grace Clinton, wrapped it up with a second goal in 22 minutes. You never felt like Man City were going to get back into it. You never did. Like, even when they were only 1-0 down, there was a couple of chances. Fallon Torres-Joyce, oh my goodness, with the double save was, phenomenal.
Fallon had an excellent showing in international break and has just continued. I mean, she's had a great season with United, continued that in international break, and then picked back up when she got right back to United. She's been really impeccable, and she's a really good example of when people say goalkeepers hit their prime later. Look at Fallon Torres-Joyce. Like, I think field players hit it probably in their 24, 25. Fallon Torres-Joyce is 27 and she's just starting to hit her prime. This would, on a field player, she'd be, within 2 or 3 years of the end of the prime. Fallon Torres-Joyce is right there, baby. It's starting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. She absolutely came up clutch in this game. I do think the big story, however, is this is going to be yet again, Man City will be trophyless.
Not just trophyless. This is the second question I was going to ask. But it's not really a question, so I didn't ask it. I mean, but City now, barring something very strange happening, not very strange, but just barring something unexpected happening, are not going to be in Champions League. And they will walk out of the season with no hardware either. City will have literally nothing to show. And we both expect them to see a pretty big exodus as well.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at this now, right? So this will be the third season that they've won nothing through it. They've been runners-up in the league 7 times. Last time they won any hardware was the what was called the Conti Cup is now the Subway Cup, and that was in the 2021-22 season. That's the last time they won silverware. And for a team that you look at their roster, yes, they have suffered injuries. I get it. I do understand. But you think they would have done something. And if you're and like you said, this season, it's very unlikely they're going to qualify for Champions League. They are nowhere near the title race. They've crashed out of the FA Cup. They crashed out in the final of the League Cup. I as a club as big as Man City, it's disappointing.
This is interesting because so United are going to take on Chelsea in the FA Cup final. United won the FA Cup last year. They beat Tottenham 4-0. So they are the FA Cup defending champions. And if we flash back to the WSL season last year, United finished 5th in the WSL. City tied Chelsea on points, and Chelsea won the WSL title off of goal differential. That's how tight it was. And we had a debate with a former player, I believe. I don't remember who we had on, but I asked this to a former player as well, and you both agreed on this. I asked you both, as a former English player, obviously, would you rather be Manchester City in the situation where you finished second, you almost got the league title?
Chloe Morgan. It was Chloe Morgan.
There we go.
Sorry.
There you go. I knew you would remember this moment.
As soon as you said it, I was like, Chloe Morgan.
Okay.
Chloe Morgan.
Yeah, because you both were like, you stupid American. Okay, well, let me ask it, though, because this is fun for context. I asked you guys, would you rather be Manchester City? You finished second. You almost got the title. You'll be in Champions League next year, but you didn't get any hardware. Or United, who you did not even come close to the WSL title. You did not make Champions League, but you did win hardware. And you both said, United, I want the hardware. And I was like, I'd rather be City. Now we don't even get to split the difference. City just won't be in Champions League and they don't have hardware, period, the end. United now are probably going to get Champions League and they have a shot at hardware right now.
Yeah, this is the team to be. This is the team to be in at the moment, in Manchester. Yeah, I think the club as a whole need to have a long, hard look at themselves and decide what they want to do, because the time they were successful was when they invested, and I feel like that investment has dropped off. But congratulations, Man United, for making your 3rd FA Cup final in as many years. Last time they faced Chelsea in the FA Cup, they did lose 1-0. Chelsea won it that season, but they also then beat Chelsea, I think it was 2-1, to get into the final last season. So
So what do you think is going to happen this year? This leads us on wonderfully. Obviously, this will be played at Wembley, as it is an FA Cup final. Chelsea versus Manchester United.
If I say that Chelsea lose, I'm going to get so much grief. But
it is crazy to think that they could do the treble and the quadruple. I mean, listen, if Chelsea do play in the Champions League final, it probably won't entirely impact the FA Cup final. I'll just note, because the Champions League final is after the FA Cup final. It's on May 24th.
Yeah. I think it depends on what you think they're going to focus on, because, you know, do they want that elusive Champions League title? I think it is going to be all dependent. Such a wishy-washy answer, but I do think it's all dependent on if they beat Barcelona and get to the final of the Champions League, because I think they're going to want the Champions League more than the FA Cup, because they've won the FA Cup. They've won the FA Cup countless times. Will they want the domestic treble? Obviously, but are they going to want to rest players that have been playing so many games in order to focus on Champions League? If they don't get Champions League, they're going to want the domestic treble, and they'll go hard.
You don't have to pick a winner. We don't have to do predictions. We can just say, this is going to be a great game. Because like you said...
Exactly. It's going to be a great game.
Chelsea beat United in the 2023 final. United beat Tottenham last year in the 24 final. And now Chelsea and United will face off again in this 2025 final. Wow. Wow. It's going to be a blast. May 18th, everybody. Mark it on your calendars. And that is it for us here at the Women's Soccer Show. As always, tune into our Patreon. We finally got that Fits and Kits app up last week. I mean, if you have any thoughts or opinions on the new NWSL kits, you should probably listen to it. And subscribe to our Patreon. Allie does incredible content up there constantly. It's a great way to support independent media, and it costs you but $3 a month. A cup of coffee, if you will. Make it inside one day, everybody, and that is it. Support the Women's Soccer Show, and we would very much appreciate it. But if you don't, just keep listening, please, because we love that too. Anything I missed?
No, you're good. You've got it.
Allie, I'm going to hold this to you. You're sending us your NWSL predictions, yeah?
Yes, you will have my NWSL predictions the day this episode drops on Wednesday. And I will give you my predicted league table by the end of the week, because I am putting my money where my mouth is.
Let's go. All right, everybody. For the Women's Soccer Show, I've been Sarah.
And I've been Allie.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
This podcast was edited by Monkey Hill Media. Visit monkeyhillmedia.com for more information.